Morning, my name is Gigi. 25 November 2018, web prophets. Prophet prophesies that I see border conflict in big nation, many countries, and it affects the world. Amen.
Now, the European Union has announced it's launching legal action against the United Kingdom over plans to breach parts of the Brexit agreement. It says a bill now before the British Parliament would violate international law when it comes to trade rules in Northern Ireland. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has admitted it breaks the rules, but says it is necessary to protect jobs and the integrity of the UK's internal market. A European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen made the announcement.
This morning, the Commission has decided to send a letter of formal notice to the UK government. This is the first step in an infringement procedure. The letter invites the UK government to send its observations within a month. And besides this, the Commission will continue to work hard towards a full and timely implementation of the withdrawal agreement. We stand by our commitments.
Well, we'll be speaking to Dominic Kane in Berlin in just a few moments. But first, let's have reaction out of the United Kingdom. Paul Brennan is standing by there in London. And Paul, this was inevitable course of events given the UK's action. What's the sense of it panning out now?
Well, I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion that this will end up in the European Court of Justice, far from it. But you heard from Ursula von der Leyen there that her final payoff line, we stand by our commitments. As you say, with that, it was absolutely inevitable that having issued an ultimatum to the UK government 3 weeks ago when they introduced this internal markets bill, that unless they didn't withdraw the offending clauses within that bill by the end of September, the EU would act, then, of course, by the 1st of October today, the EU has had to act. And so it wasn't a surprise that Ursula von der Leyen came out with this. The response from the UK, though, has been to press on. The UK government spokesman coming out and saying we will respond in due course. We have clearly set out our reasons for introducing the measures that we have, and we need to create a legal safety net to protect the integrity of the EU's internal market. That said, there are plenty of critics of the UK's position, not least the former Supreme Court Judge Lord Sumption, who came out and said there's very little doubt this is a negotiating ploy by the UK, a gigantic bluff. He described it as a cack-handed negotiating tactic. But what's crucial in all of this is the fact that the European Union hasn't walked away from the table, from the negotiating table, because in Brussels at the moment they're still trying to thrash out a free trade agreement. Those talks ongoing. They haven't walked away from that. And the important thing to remember is if they can do a free trade, come to a free trade agreement, then essentially the measures included in the internal markets bill would become redundant. So there's cogs within cogs still going on here, and it's not a foregone conclusion at all that we'll end up in court.
Cogs within cogs. All right, Paul, thanks for that. Let's speak now to Dominic Kane, who's live for us in Berlin. And Dominic, it's a pretty clear message that the EU institution does not believe that the UK is acting in good faith.
Yes, pretty clear from Ursula von der Leyen that the lack of good faith from the British side of this particular scenario means that she and her colleagues, Charles Michel, have to take this action. They have to pursue the legal remedy, if there is one. The interesting thing, though, is the realpolitik element of this. We know that there is an EU summit going on in Brussels today and tomorrow. We know that from the Irish government, remember, the Irish government is a particular player in this, given the fraught situation about border controls, should they be imposed or not, between Northern Ireland, part of the UK, and the Republic of Ireland. Well, we know that the Deputy Prime Minister, Leo Varadkar, has said today that he believes that there is still the scope for a comprehensive trade agreement which would not involve any form of tariff or other controls like that, and some form of minimum supervision might still be possible, which would allow for a trade deal to happen. But then juxtapose that with the view from the French government. We know that the French Europe Minister Clément Beaune has said that without the British government removing the legislation that Paul was just talking about, there cannot be a trade deal. So you have this sense that negotiations still going on, but the lack of good faith, as the Europeans see it, from the British perspective, is definitely making it harder.
All right, Dominic, thanks very much for that. Dominic Kane reporting there from Berlin. Let's take it on. We can speak to Bart van Voorden, who's an EU constitutional lawyer, joins us live from Brussels. And Bart, welcome to the programme. It's pretty complex, this. But what about the legalities? The EU have launched this action. What happens next? What is the process?
Well, so within the European Union, the Commission has always taken the role of guardian of the treaties, as it is called. And that means that they have the legal power to bring a member state before the European Court of Justice. And the UK has agreed through Article 89 of the Withdrawal Agreement that it would subject itself to that jurisdiction even after it had left and up to 4 years after the end of the withdrawal period. And so what happens next is we have this letter of formal notice, which basically sets out you, the UK, have violated Article 5 of the Withdrawal Agreement, which says that you will do everything to implement the obligations that you have agreed to in good faith. For EU lawyers, this is a very well-known principle. It's really it's really the oil that makes the European Union and also the EU-UK relationship work. So this is a very well-known, legally enforceable principle. And so now the UK has 1 month to respond to this allegation, to this letter of formal notice. And then typically member states, or in this case the UK, they would try to settle things, maybe make the offending rule go away. And if they don't, which what we've heard from the previous speakers, there would be a so-called reasoned opinion, which basically sets out this is the Act, the UK Internal Market Bill, this is what is the infringing position. And at that point, there is really a political decision to be made. So once you have that reasoned opinion, it doesn't mean automatically that you go to court, but the Commission and specifically the College of Commissioners, so the 27 national commissioners that you know, the highest political level of the Commission would decide whether or not to bring the UK
right
before the court.
And the thing is, if the UK and the EU come to an agreement, presumably it wouldn't go to court anyway.
Exactly. So it's a shot across the bow that this procedure has now initiated, but it's not a foregone conclusion that it would end. And it's quite common. I myself have represented Belgian government and other member states in discussions with the European Commission in trying to find a way on how to comply with the international legal obligation. So I certainly agree that it is a negotiation tactic, albeit a very, very strong one, because if you've read the UK Internal Market Bill, it basically says we can ignore the Northern Ireland Protocol, and this will have legal effect even if we violate human rights, even if we violate the EU-UK Withdrawal Agreement. So
okay.
it is unprecedented.
Very briefly, Bart, given that, if the UK does go its own way without a deal, what power do the courts then have? What penalty can they impose?
Well, in principle, the UK has also agreed to subject itself to the powers of the court to impose financial penalties. And the Commission could start once the Commission could start again and then seek a fine. And these can take on, I remember a Greek case, for instance, 30,000 euros a day of non-compliance. And what is more, the UK has also agreed that such financial penalties would be enforceable before its national courts. Now, right. You could say we have... OK, go ahead, sorry.
No. We've actually run out of time, but we do appreciate it. You've explained it very well for us. We appreciate that very much. Thank you, Bart van Voorden, EU constitutional lawyer. Thanks a lot.